It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin a Thursday. Gary, how are you?
Well, like everybody, hanging in there.
Yeah,
I guess. Just to start the show with this, just to make it absolutely clear, and we have to do this more frequently because it is so incredibly obvious as to what is going on. This all relates to the sniper shooting and the murder yesterday in Dallas at the ICE facility. But here we go, and thanks Breitbart for actually listing what the the Democratic politicians are saying.
right.
All right, these are Democrats.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom claims ICE agents will help suppress voter turnout.
Yep.
Last month, during a podcast episode with a tech journalist, Newsom made the unprecedented claim that ICE agents may be used by President Donald Trump in next year's midterm elections to help suppress voter turnout.
Mm-hmm.
Trump's already sending out masked people to intimidate folks. When we launch our campaign, did it down in Little Tokyo. Do you think ICE is not going to show up around voting polling booths and chill participants? His wife suggests ICE agents are hunting illegal immigrants. In June, following an ICE raid on California farms, illegally employing migrant children. She suggested in a video posted to her Instagram that agents were hunting illegal immigrants like animals.
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine Crockett, ICE agents are acting like slave patrols. Last week, Jasmine Crockett made the inflammatory suggestion that ICE agents are akin to slave patrols during an interview on MSNBC. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu comparing ICE agents to neo-Nazis. Tim Walz declares ICE agents are Trump's modern Gestapo. In May of this year, Governor Tim Walz told college graduates at the University of Minnesota Law School that ICE agents are acting as a Nazi secret police force. The quote, Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the street. They're in unmarked vans wearing masks being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons, Walz said. Representative John Larson calls on Americans to rise up against the Gestapo ICE. He's a congressional representative, a Democrat from Connecticut, spoke last month and said that. Hakeem Jeffries threatens to unmask ICE agents. Again, another one from Boston Mayor Michelle Wu calling ICE agents Trump's secret police. Those are just 8 examples. There's many more, but that's just 8 examples. And for the Democrats who are purposely lying, including, Newsom again, and National Review just pounded him. It said, if you really believe there wasn't going to be an election in 2028, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, which is replacing other people with better people in order to be out there promoting the fact that you're going to run in 2028. And they went through everything that he's planning to do to run for 2028 right now, saying he knows he's lying. And so they all know they're lying. Why do they know they're lying? Because they all know. Let's set this, and this is why the whole remember the civics test the other day? Mm-hmm. That's why we talk about the civics test, because this is very simple. This is not complicated. We live in a constitutional republic. We have elected representatives in the House and the Senate. The people of the United States vote for the people in the House and the Senate. Those people in the House and the Senate are the ones that create the law. All immigration law is what Trump is following right now. Biden did not follow immigration law. Trump is following immigration law.
Yep.
Well, it's the law of the people of the United States. There is no fascism. There is no Nazism. It is a representative government of the people that made the law that Donald Trump is enforcing. If you don't like the law, well, then convince people that the law is wrong and do it through the ballot. But they all know that they're lying. It's not fascism. Yep. It's not Nazism. The reason that they are wearing the masks is because they've been targeted by the left. As we have seen, it's obvious they're being targeted by the left.
There should be zero questions. There should have been zero questions before yesterday morning. But there should be zero questions now. Stop this with the take their this is doxing. We want to see their faces. The radicals want to know who they are, where they live. They want to identify these agents who do a very dangerous job in the first place, long before the radicals that are targeting them while they're doing their jobs.
But they're purposely lying, and they know they're lying. And why are they doing it? Because they can't argue. They can't argue the substance of what's going on. They know they can't. So they are lying. And what they are doing is immoral and evil.
It is the tactic of the left to go to the ultimate fear driver on everything. The world's going to end, climate change, and the Gestapo is rounding people up and taking them to torture cells in foreign countries.
And you could end up that same way.
Yes.
Because that's the point they're trying to make. As a citizen, this could happen to you. And it's a load of horse manure. They know it. They're just hoping. They believe that the people that vote for them are complete idiots. And they can lie. They can lie without any consequence whatsoever.
Yep.
It's the same thing. You know, and you really saw a lot of the consensus yesterday, and I will say I had to chuckle because Jimmy Kimmel, the left is furious at him. They didn't want him at all showing any sympathy for Charlie Kirk.
Right.
They're furious at him.
Right.
But the fact is, all he had to say is, no, MAGA was not involved in this at all, and I'm sorry that I even implied that.
Right.
That's simple. And he couldn't do that. So again, they want to promote things that are untrue. And you tell me right now, in 2025, anything that is being promoted, anything that's being promoted by the Republicans, that you actually have mainstream Republicans promoting, that is only being done, a lie being done in order for people to hate government employees because you're being told they're like the Nazi Gestapo who killed 6 million Jews. Tell me anything on the right that's being done like that. You can't.
No. 2 assassination attempts on Trump. You've had now 3 shootings just in Texas at ICE facilities.
Well, you remember how many people are involved in the conspiracy for the one, not far from.
In fact, some of those were just arraigned. They had a court date day before yesterday.
How many was there? 12, 16?
Yeah, and I think it was like 6 of them were in court day before yesterday.
I mean, a huge number of people that were involved. Yeah. In that one, and it's just like, whoa, and they continue, and this is mainstream now. This isn't somebody who wasn't involved in the political party or somebody who was an influencer or a hanger-oner. These are the politicians elected to major political office in the United States.
Yes.
They're the ones that are lying. And they know it.
As Breitbart points out, as we pointed out, these are the talking points.
Yeah.
This is a strategy politically. You know, at National Review, they make the great point. Well, the guy that seemingly is running for 2028 tells you there's not going to be an election in 2028.
And all he's doing is preparing to run for 2028.
Exactly.
He knows he's lying.
I think he's wearing a new hair gel.
Yeah.
He's that into it. He's that serious about 2028 and then tries to tell you it's not going to happen. That's the same guy that told you, put your mask on, as he's yucking it up at a table, very closely sitting at a table with other individuals, including doctors. That was at the beginning of COVID.
Oh, my God.
And then he was at a main event, a huge event with Magic Johnson, arguably the most famous HIV patient in America, not wearing a mask. This is the same guy. Gavin Newsom.
Did you see Ben Affleck's daughter at the...
Yeah, with a mask.
She believes that everybody should permanently wear a mask.
I'm glad
Everybody in the
somebody
United
could
States.
understand what she was saying, because I couldn't through the mask.
My God. It's like she's wearing a mask now, and everybody we should be mandated masks all the time for everybody. That's a very reasonable position.
I'm wondering,
nut.
as I'm watching the video, as I'm looking at her, I'm thinking, is she wearing a mask because of, COVID, whatnot, or because she's Ben Affleck's daughter? Doesn't want to be recognized.
Or get away from his cigarette
So then she's
smoke.
calling on the world to put a mask on so she can justify wearing a mask.
If you want to, fine, go ahead.
I
But
don't.
you can do what you want as an adult.
Like I said over the weekend,
With
I
the
saw a
mind
young
of a
person.
child.
I saw a young person. This is somebody who, by choice, I don't believe they're being forced to work at this place where there's tons of people. And the left will tell you, well, that's the reason he wears the mask. This is a young person who was probably 30-ish, maybe not even that old, and he had this mask on. And my thought is, well, if you've got something that makes you more susceptible, you probably shouldn't be working in a place like that with all those people. You should probably find a job where it's better for you and your health and it's not so dangerous. But we know that for the most part, for most people, it's virtue signaling.
Well, the only place that would be where there's no people would be working for us.
I was going to say.
Here at Red Eye, there's nobody.
Come on in. The water's fine.
Right.
With the exception of the medical professionals who should have been wearing masks back in the 50s all the time in their clinics. And seriously, get rid of the magazines. Ew. I said that to one of the nurses at my doctor's office. I said, I'm shocked you guys haven't always worn masks. Like, I mean, always, like for years, because of all the stuff. You're here with sick people coming in every day.
Because it's a George Carlin philosophy.
Yeah.
You want to be exposed to all the crap out there.
Yeah.
It makes you stronger.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you right now.
By the way, I'm not using George Carlin to defend what I believe about medical issues. I want to make
National talk show host says George Carlin is smart enough to dictate medical policy. Here's your headline at MS Now, MS 13 Now, whatever they call it.
What an idiot that guy is.
Yeah.
He's like George Carlin wasn't a doctor, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't a doctor. You're making it sound like he's a doctor. Oh, ow.
Yeah. Careful.
You
injured your neck.
I heard.
Don't do that.
And I had done such a great job over the last couple of days. It's feeling much better. And then I just shook my head as I was trying to talk. I was trying to talk like a liberal, so I had to be animated with my body.
Well, that's what happens. Way to go, Karen. Nice job.
But that's the whole point. We're a constitutional republic. These immigration laws are the laws of the people of the United States. If you use fascism, if you say Nazi, you're lying, and you're only lying for one reason. You wish to create hatred towards these government employees who are doing the job that the people of the United States to their elected representatives have voted to do. It's got nothing to do with Nazis. It's got nothing to do with fascism. You're doing it to create hate because I believe many of you want what's happening to happen.
You know, a couple of the liberals early on yesterday morning, as this breaking news out of Dallas, about 8 miles south of our studios, by the way, the couple of liberals after the press conference, I'm just sickened by the fact that people on the right won't mention it was detainees that were shot. Well, authorities didn't want to, at that point, at the first press conference, there wasn't really much that was learned. It really, there weren't like new details that hadn't already come out through sources or source stories, except for the fact that they had, and that this was the big point, the anti-ICE message written on the ammunition, which was a key point. Other than that, not much was learned. And the left was going, I can't believe they didn't talk about the fact that detainees were targeted or shot and I thought to myself, they're really reaching here.
Yeah, they are.
They're reaching.
They're really, yeah.
And they're desperate because they know their party is responsible for this kind of behavior when these are the talking points. This is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to keep doing. I didn't see anyone coming out saying everybody in our party, Democrats, needs to stop this and stop it now. Unless we heard from Fetterman, he might say that at some point.
Well, if you come on and say, I don't like this law, and I think through our elected representatives we ought to change it, fine. As soon as you bring up fascism and Nazism, in my opinion, you want violence.
Yeah, and Gestapo over and over again.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
866-90 Red Eye.
Hey there, Hope Savara here with Mother Trucker Yoga, and this is your health tip of the day. Healthy driver, healthy diesel, powered by House. Neck strain can really be a pain, especially after long hours behind the wheel. Did you know neck pain affects nearly 70% of drivers at some point in their career? So let's loosen things up. Sit tall and tip your head to your right shoulder. Now pull your left shoulder down gently and hold for 10 seconds. Switch sides, left ear to left shoulder, right shoulder pulls down and hold for 10. Now roll your shoulders 5 big circles forward and 5 back. Open your mouth wide and stretch your jaw. Hold for 10. Close and repeat that 2 more times. Finally, take a deep breath in through your nose, pause, and exhale through your mouth. There you go. Small, simple changes lead to big results so that you can feel good again. Visit mothertruckeryoga.com and houseproducts.com for more info.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so it's just when you see this happen, and it happened in Dallas yesterday, another sniper, another shooting at an ICE facility, and you hear the lies again. Not from this isn't the fringe; it's the mainstream of the Democratic Party, and we all know we live in a constitutional republic. The laws that Trump are enforcing are not laws that Trump created. It is laws of the people of the United States. It's the will of the people of the United States. That's why those laws exist. To say fascism or Nazism, you're only trying to enrage people by lying. And I believe some of you actually want this violence to happen. That's reprehensible. Otherwise, there's no reason to do that.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. I want to play this audio cut from Governor Ron DeSantis about the Democrats and ICE.
I've never seen them get mad. I never have seen them get this mad when American citizens are killed by illegal aliens. I've never seen Gavin Newsom comfort an angel mom. I've never seen these liberal Democrat senators talk about the victims of illegal immigration. That's not anything they do. They reserve all their ire for the people that are wearing the uniform and just doing what the law commands them to do.
Yeah. You know, one of the, the AOC's comment after the healthcare executive was assassinated, was murdered last year, when she said, well, when you're denied a claim, people view that as violence. That was her justifying the murder of someone. Yep. Because you're saying he committed an act of violence.
This is how they behave after the murders, in the wake of the murders. And we saw that with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Once again, how some on the left were responding with joy. You see this. They think they're heroes. You know, one of the suspects in the other Texas shooting that happened over the summer, the one that was on, in fact, he was on the loose for the longest. They were looking for him the longest. You know, he didn't flee the country. He didn't drive to Montana. They found him at an apartment in North Dallas. It's like he wasn't even trying to hide. And my theory, and I could be wrong, is that he saw himself as a hero. These people believe they're heroes. They believe they're on the right side. And this is, why so many people, again, were disgusted with Jimmy Kimmel. For me, it was no surprise. It's the type of person that he is. But yesterday morning if you look at what, and I'm glad that Breitbart did the work on that. If you look at, and you and I have done it, I don't know, since they've started, but they lined out just some of the lawmakers who are talking this way. When you tell the people that the Gestapo is coming for you, when you want people to believe they're in danger, even as citizens, and you're peddling that fear, expect a few of them to respond with violence. And when they do respond with violence, their crowd is cheering hero. This is who they are. Those individuals, the violent individuals in their mind, are at war. You can't describe it any other way. Those individuals over the summer at the one shooting you were talking about, they didn't know each other. They got together
online
for that purpose, online.
Great point.
That's how they met.
Mm-hmm.
It was already known. It was already a given that those individuals were of like mind and were willing to come together to do that. A number of them, not one person. I saw that in the activist media yesterday. Again, well, lone wolf, like mindset.
Yeah.
These aren't people who, and then they tried to do and we also see a common thread of mental health issues and blah, blah. These individuals are evil, and they've been indoctrinated to the point that they believe they're at war. Imagine all of us law-abiding citizens. Imagine in your mind for a moment what it would take for you to plan such a horrendous act. What it's foreign to all of us. It's like they're from another planet. We can't imagine in our minds plotting to do something, let alone carrying it out. That's how far this has gone.
And what is the term you heard a lot yesterday? The stochastic violence?
Mm-hmm.
You know that, and that's the concept from the left that anything that's said, for example, they're trying to make this. This is the whole thing on the both sides issue. You look at it and you see, you know, what these people are doing, and everything just isn't a lone wolf, as you just mentioned there. But it's the like mindset that you see, and it's using the exact phrases and words. Well, the things that they're trying to say is that, you know, their thing on both sides is if you come out and you say a man can't be a woman, which is true.
Yeah.
A man can't be a woman. That's true. That's scientifically true.
Right.
Well, that's hate speech, and any violence that happens against any transgender is based on that type of hate. That's the same type of narrative as something that's completely untrue, that ICE agents are Gestapo, when it's not true. And that's why we have broken it down, and we will over and over and over again, so people understand that people like Gavin Newsom, AOC, other members of the mainstream Democratic Party. Now, remember, the reason Newsom is important is because he's trying to position himself as the moderate of the Democratic Party to become president of the United States. And when he comes out and says there's not going to be an election and Trump's going to use ICE in order to intimidate people not to go to the polls, what the hell are you talking about? He's making that stuff up. He knows that's not true. And that's why I'm glad National Review said, well, if he thought that was true, then why is he preparing to run by doing this and doing this and doing this? You know, the exploratory committee, everything that he's doing to run for president, he knows it's false.
Right.
He knows that ICE agents are not Gestapo.
Right.
He knows that.
Yep.
That's the thing. He knows that it's a complete lie, but the lie is out there. If I say a man cannot be a woman because a man says so, there is no attempt to create hate.
No, you can't change the science.
Right. You can't change the science. I'm simply saying what you're saying is wrong. That can't happen.
I'm trying to convince the party of science that you can't change the science.
Right. Exactly. That's false. It can't happen. Do I hate you? No. Do I have compassion? Because it's the left that's telling us huge mental health problems in the transgender community, and that's why you can't even talk about it, because talking about it is hate. What do you mean? So if I talk about, so silence is violence, non-silence is violence. Anything that I do just to find out or ask questions or look at the science that you're bringing to it, you are saying is hate, and it's the same thing. Well, it's the same thing on both sides. It's not. That's not the same thing. Stating a scientific fact is not what Gavin Newsom is doing. Gavin Newsom is lying in order to create hatred. He wants the hatred. AOC, she justified the murder of a healthcare executive. I'm not doing this in any way to create any hatred towards AOC. I'm telling you what she said, that, well, you know, got to understand that when people are denied a claim, they view that as violence. You just justified it.
Yep.
You just justified the murder of a healthcare CEO.
Yep.
Because you don't like what happened. Well, we understand, because people view that as a violence, so naturally these things are going to happen. Remember, this is the The mainstream of the Democratic Party is AOC and Gavin Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
And Newsom knows it, and they're doing it. They're saying these things as we went down just 8 of them that Breitbart listed. These are Democrats, congresspeople, mayors, governors, purposely attempting to create hate against government employees who are doing their job and enforcing the law that the people of the United States wanted. Mm-hmm. What the people of the United States wanted through their elected representatives.
Yep.
They wanted immigration laws. The laws of our country don't come from Nazism. They don't come from fascism. They come from the will of the people through the elected representatives. And I know that saying this over and over again, I hope you're not, okay, you're just be. It's important to say this over and over again because they keep using the same false argument, the evil lie that they throw out in order to hopefully, from their point of view, make ignorant people. You only do these obvious lies because it's completely obvious because you believe that the people that vote for you are idiots and they'll follow it. They'll take that and go with it and act in certain ways. And we're getting to we're to the point now where it's like, well, you can't make the comparison. Well, when you see now these things that are happening, these murders, these incidents of violence, and the exact talking points that Democrats are putting out are exactly what these people who are committing these heinous crimes are saying. You're not going to convince the American people of that.
No, you're not. No. This is squarely on them. Mm-hmm. This is squarely on people who are trying to build fear in the hearts of individuals for a reason. This isn't about votes. They see what's happening, and in the wake of this violence, they create heroes in those responsible. Yeah. They themselves should have governed themselves in this behavior long before now. What does that tell you? It tells you they think they're winning.
Yeah.
That this is a viable tactic.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom says those things because he believes they're effective. He knows they're a lie.
Right.
But he knows they're effective in creating hatred towards other people based on a lie.
It's working.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's our Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Oh, and the other lie they tell is if you wish to enforce immigration law, then that makes you a racist.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that you hear all the time from them. That's the other lie that they throw out, and that's not true.
Right.
If you see the insanity that happened at the border, it was about the fact that we need to have borders.
Yeah.
And the left just, that's why. Why do you think they did everything that they always did, where it went from illegal alien to illegal immigrant to undocumented immigrant to what did they use in California that for a while there? What was it?
Temporarily displaced travelers.
Travelers, exactly. And there was something else another one they used last year, I think. There was another one, which was
occupational tourists.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, no, we need to ensure that our borders are secure, and it is immoral to have a sanctuary city where you protect illegal immigrant criminals, and your first concern is not innocent American citizens.
Right.
Sorry. To sit there and promote the fact. And remember, we looked at it, a plurality of Democrats in the polling plurality of Democrats want illegal immigrant criminals protected.
Yep.
And so they can't win that argument, so they just accuse you of being a racist.
Yep.
And when you accuse somebody of being a racist, or you accuse them of being a Nazi, or you accuse them of being a fascist, you're only doing that for one reason. You know it's a lie, but you wish to create hatred towards that person in the hopes of what?
Instilling fear.
Instilling fear, hoping for violence.
You're trying to get a response out of people. You're trying to get a radical response out of people.
You're trying to get a hatred response out of people. I hate, so I'll act this way.
Yep.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. All right, let's do an update on a story from earlier this week.
All right.
And make sure we do it in prime time.
Okay.
Like there isn't a prime time of our show. Every
Every
moment is a prime time.
Every moment.
There isn't like the story was on page 1 and we're putting it on page 50.
Right. We don't we don't like step aside at some point and have like the B team come in, like the Today Show when they have later today or this afternoon today or whatever they do after the Today Show. We are the B team.
Well, we had said on Monday when we saw this story, we said if there's a videotape that exists and it shows Tom Homan taking $50,000 in cash, whether it's clear or blurry, and I was telling you during the top of the hour, well, actually for Democrats, blurry would be better. If you can tell what happened, that would make it even a bigger story. But there's nothing here. We're to Thursday. There's nothing on this story. Homan did talk about it. He was interviewed. Here's what he had to say on it. Here we go.
What is the story with this, and where did it come from?
Well, look, as the Justice Department said, I did nothing criminal, I did nothing illegal, I did nothing wrong. And this is a series of hits against me since the beginning of the year. There's been hit pieces about every week. There was a hit piece on my security detail saying I had 31 security detail. I'm wasting millions of dollars. I had about a quarter of that. I think I had 8 security detail at the time. I had a 4-car caravan. I had 2. Another story about I'm helping certain companies with their contracts. Here's what people need to understand. Day one of the administration, when President Trump asked me to come back and we entered on duty, I met with ethics attorneys. And by law, you're supposed to recuse yourself from any company you had affiliations with before. But I took it a step further. I recused myself from all federal contracts. I won't have any decision-making in any federal contract, but people, including this recent case, people are saying, I'm going to line the pockets of people. I signed that declaration. I do not make decisions in any federal contracts. And just so people know, I make about 18% of what I made in my company to come back and serve my nation. So my family's took a sacrifice. I've taken a sacrifice. I'm back here doing the right thing. The hit pieces keep coming, but I know who's chumming the water. I know who keeps throwing this information out, and the media jumps all over it. And they're going to see some legal actions real soon. I'm working with the legal team. I'm done with it.
Now, I don't know if he means the sources, because that would be who you're going after, right? The sources of the story. If
right.
That would be who's doing that. But we know how things work, and that's why we said on Monday, if there's any credibility to this thing's going to blow up. If Democrats believe they've got him doing something illegal or even unethical or even I'm trying to. What would be less than unethical? I mean, if he's just doing his job, they're going to come after him.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that we've got to Thursday and there's nothing on this story at all since it came out. I mean, there's nothing.
I thought Monday, we talked about it on the Sunday night, Monday morning show. I thought, okay, Democrats are going to take this and run with it. Even if there's not much to it, they're going to run with it. But you certainly can tell when there is something to it. Not only does it have legs, but it's everywhere. When there's something to it, I was telling you during the break, I don't know, even a blurry video or something that doesn't really prove anything, if they had anything tangible.
Even if they didn't, a blurry video that doesn't show you anything
right.
that they could describe.
Right, exactly.
Not even accurately, just
right.
Here's what might be going on here. Is the blurry person and the other blurry person. That would be better because that extends the story.
Right. Exactly. Something tangible, basically.
And the reason we say this is with everything that we have dealt with the attacks on ICE and the two attacks here in Texas, the one we know a conspiracy to go after ICE facilities, the fact that Democrats continue to demonize ICE as fascist and Nazis when it's completely untrue.
Yeah.
They are government employees working within the constitutional republic system of the voter going to the polls, voting for their elected representatives who made these laws that ICE is enforcing. And you see the demonization there where there is no person working. I think I can make the case, maybe not, that Homan is hated more than even Stephen Miller. That's why I said, well, maybe not.
Pretty close, for sure.
Right. They would do anything. So if they thought they had a shred, they'd be saying, well, we'd like to know what's going on. We'd like to know what's going on. We'd like to know what's going on. We'd like to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a videotape, we want to see it.
Right.
And and it would be in unison. That would be the talking points we need to pound home in today, because we need to have something to counteract what's going on, in the Dallas area.
Right. Yeah.
And we're throwing the mask thing out every day. We're throwing the Nazis. That doesn't seem to be working. We need something new, and this would be something new. We know how they think.
Right. Especially if you could get somebody that Trump hired at this level. I mean, the guy in charge of ICE. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Because part of their narrative on the left, for those that don't know, was that the alleged bribe was the reason that Trump didn't offer him up for a position that would require Senate confirmation. So they were basically saying, well, this is why he ended up in the job he's in now, because he probably wouldn't have gotten through the Senate on confirmation. This is part of the entire narrative that's surrounding this story. Well, you and I have been doing this a long time, and we know when there is something or anything tangible that they can take and run with, even if it's not true, when there's something more to it. And we haven't seen anything this week. Again, I thought it was going to happen on Monday, that you were going to hear more and more Democrats on Capitol Hill calling for it, and nothing.
Yeah. I'll scan to see if any of the liberal magazines.
And Homan doesn't sound like a guy who's running from anything. Of course, he never does. It's... If you're going to lie and call ICE the Gestapo, then why not create a lie like this?
Yeah.
I can't tell you what the truth is. I can tell you what it looks like. You and I have the smell test of stories like this because we've got the experience of covering these types of stories politically for, forever.
We covered Russia collusion from the beginning to the end.
Yeah. we coming in, that first day from our Christmas break, January of 2017.
January 2nd, right?
Yep. We were like, wait a minute.
What's going on here?
What? And it wasn't long. We were, like we always do, we asked questions. All right, what seems more likely? When can you tell something is adding up and isn't? And I think everybody has that. Any critical thinker certainly has that. But anybody who is a wonk at all, you understand, you look at things and go, oh, wait a minute, but why would they do that? And why would this happen? Next thing you know, John Solomon, Sarah A. Carter, when they were with Circa News, were doing some reporting through Circa News at the time in the spring of 2017. And then all of a sudden, Comey, Mueller, and it's like, oh, they're running with this. By the time Mueller was assigned, you and I knew this whole thing is bogus. And remember, the activist media was calling anyone who was saying the Russian hoax was a hoax was actually a hoaxer themselves. They were calling that a conspiracy theory. If you were saying Hillary Clinton and the DNC were involved, and this is all of these actors are coming together in high levels of power, went all the way up to the top. In January of 2017, went all the way up to the top. We know that meeting took place then, and you've got everything documented now. And the activist media, these are conspiracy theories about Hillary Clinton and starting this whole thing and blah, 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 blah.
The other thing that didn't make sense is he makes just under $200,000. Yeah. And so if he was making $1 million a year, $50,000 is not enough for a bribe.
Right. The last one
that's what I said. I went, okay, if somebody came to me, it's like,
well, the last one I took was $100,000, and that's my bottom line. Usually.
Exactly. If somebody came to me and said $50,000, if you do, I'm like, 50? Are you out of your mind? 50,000?
It goes back to what your mother said.
I want lottery numbers.
It goes back to what your mother said in radio when someone was going to try and hire you to be the next Howard Stern.
Yeah.
And she says, well, what were they offering? Because I want to know what my son would sell his soul for.
Yeah, that was good. But I'm telling you.
If I took a bribe for anything, even entertaining the bribe, being in the situation where someone offered me a bribe, which has never happened. And by the way, how dare you not offer me a bribe? I'm a powerful person.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but
we're
could
upset.
Be perceived as
We're upset that nobody's ever tried to bribe us.
Right. What's up with that? Now you know what? Now I'm offended.
Now, wait a minute.
What?
We did offer to be bribed, though.
Did we?
In a way. But it was for a lot more money than $50,000 because we said we would consult for Democrats.
Well, that was us offering ourselves a bribe.
Okay.
Which is the only way it's actually going to happen.
I mean, technically, it's not a bribe. You would
asking for it.
You would be negotiating to be a consultant, but morally, it would be a bribe.
We were offering our service. Well, that would be selling my soul.
Right. Legally, it's not a bribe. Morally, it would be a bribe.
My dad would call me, go, hey, listen, we're kind of full for Christmas this year, so you guys do your own thing.
Could you imagine? The Democrats have rebounded because of the excellent political consulting from Eric Harley and Gary McNamara that they're actually listening to.
They give us Mom Donnie throws us a parade. Hochul is there.
Next is Mom Donnie.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I had nothing to do.
We get booed at the U.S. Open. That would be huge.
I am not a political consultant.
Yeah.
I want to make this clear to Hochul. We did not tell her to go to the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, that's right. Ryder Cup. Yeah.
We did not tell her to go to the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
She got booed yesterday, and I almost said Carson Wentz. Carson Daly was there and said, basically, she's not Roger Goodell. Because when he goes anywhere, the commissioner of the NFL, he gets booed.
Yeah.
That was actually a funny.
That's funny.
Yeah, you could hear the boos. I mean, it was very pronounced.
Right. Yeah, if we were hired for our services by the left, we would get booed. Now it'd be at like UFC events and things where conservatives go, but yeah.
Well, I mean, because I frequent the UFC. I mean,
Well, I get booed at
there.
UFC events because it's like, come on. Told my wife the other day I'm thinking about becoming a man, but the whole thing.
I'm staying out of this.
Quite the transition it would be.
I'm getting old. You can beat me up if I insult you.
Did you buy UFC tickets, honey? Yes. But
by the way, I have no interest in that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who to cheer for. I'm always the guy going, oh, don't get hurt. Come on. That looks like it hurts.
I don't know who to cheer for.
Yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid, when I would watch like Muhammad Ali or Foreman, and then someone takes their punch, I'm like, oh, stop.
Yeah, but pay-per-view didn't exist like it.
No, it didn't.
I remember the big fights listening to the radio with my father for the updates.
Yeah.
And the sports guy would say, it's in the third round, and you were glued.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You were glued to it. But,
right.
Because boxing was, they say it's big today. I don't know. It seemed to be bigger back when I was growing up.
It seems like it was.
It just,
well,
And
if you think about like Rocky, the movie.
Yeah.
Really, the climax of that movie is the boxing event.
Yeah.
And which is the whole point. I mean, he's a boxer. He's trying to get to the top. And, yeah. Henry Winkler.
Yeah, you're right.
Was his friend, and Henry Winkler told this story recently, in recent years. I think it was a couple of years ago. On the Rich Eisen show. He was telling him how Stallone gave him that script. He took it to ABC. ABC said, yeah, but we want to attach other writers to it. Stallone said, I can't do that. So he had to go back and ask ABC to return the script, which they almost never do, and they did. And then a year later, it came out as a movie. Yeah. Rocky.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
The IFTA tax program redistributes tax revenue to states based on your actual miles run. Thus, the truly cheapest fuel can only be found if you subtract federal and state taxes and state surcharges from the pump price to compare. The strategy means that you buy without regard for whether you are paying more at the pump in taxes. IFTA also considers state surcharges, which complicates the fuel buying strategy. Indiana, Kentucky, and Virginia have per gallon surcharges. Connecticut, Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon have per-mile surcharges. While some owner-operators buy only enough fuel to get through surcharge states, this practice can backfire, depending on the actual cost of the fuel in each state. When comparing fuel prices, always remember, pump pride minus taxes equals the real fuel cost. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the bottom of the hour, more on the Jimmy Kimmel fallout. Look, I like this headline. Hillary Clinton slams white Christian men. Well, there's a Bill joke in there somewhere. I haven't figured out where the Bill joke is in there, but there is one somewhere. Will there be an indictment coming down on Comey for basically lying to Congress?
It appears like they're moving that direction. I mean, one headline, and it was a source story, but one headline on a breaking news notification yesterday said the indictment is pending, so they made it sound like it's inevitable, but I guess we'll see.
Observing and analyzing the insanity. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara. Nightly on Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here, as always. So I saw this in the New York Post. 2 Arkansas sisters are begging for money after they were caught on camera trashing a Charlie Kirk memorial and got fired from their jobs. Carrie and Kaylee Rolio set up a GoFundMe seeking $18,000 to cover legal fees last week after they were arrested days earlier for allegedly vandalizing a Kirk memorial of candles and signs on the Benton County Courthouse steps for the assassinated Turning Point USA founder. Quote, my sibling and I are being doxxed online, and my sibling was fired from their job. Kaylee wrote, adding that their First Amendment rights were being violated. What? Good God. Please help my sibling while they look for another. It's they. That's the pronoun.
Right.
So I'm like, this doesn't.
Right.
I'm reading this going.
Yeah, I know.
This doesn't make any sense. That's the pronoun.
Right. Yeah.
They. You're talking about a singular. God, stop it.
Yeah.
Please help my sibling. While they look for another job and stand against the tyranny that is creeping into the country. Despite her claims, Kaylee and her sister may be the ones infringing on free speech rights, as they were filmed shredding signs, memorializing Kirk and kicking the candles over in footage that went viral online. F. Charlie Kirk, Carrie, who uses they pronouns, said in the video, before flipping 2 middle fingers at the camera. Film all you want. Quote, Charlie Kirk died as he lived, promoting violence, Carrie added, and yelled F. Charlie Kirk a few more times before storming off with her sister. But law enforcement caught wind of the video, and the sisters were arrested on September 17th. Everyone has a right to be able to express their freedom of expression, but what the issue is when you trample on someone's memorial, the human act of grieving, said Benton County Justice of the Peace Joseph Bollinger, according to the news. You're not just trampling on their freedom of expression. You're trampling on the memory of the person. You're trampling on our Benton County values, he added. And they apparently found out the hard way after they were arrested. Carrie was fired from work, and Kaylee's boyfriend dumped her and told her to move out, the Daily Mail UK reported. Kaylee has lived in my home now for over a year, and I have never once cut her down or not allowed her to have the beliefs she has, said Lacey Christian, the mother of Kaylee's ex, according to the Daily Mail. However, I will not allow someone living in my home to be okay or celebrate a murder. I will never allow someone to live in my home who is okay with destroying a memorial for someone else. So there you go. God, they're completely clueless.
Yep.
You know, you pick the one of the problems is they picked the wrong person to demonize by picking Charlie Kirk.
Yes.
Because you don't have any evidence.
Right. Right.
You know, you might be able to look at some other people on the right and say, well, they say outrageous things.
Well, and what that requires is for people to not pay attention to whatever that person is saying. Again, if they're not as widely known or widely available as Charlie Kirk was in terms of what Charlie Kirk believed, you didn't have to work hard to find out.
No, not at all.
You didn't have to go to an event. All you need is a cell phone with internet. And that's what destroys it for them. It's interesting because I talked about this in regards to the D.C. thing and also with the Charlie Kirk assassination. They want people who aren't familiar with the situation, like, you know, when it comes to the crime in D.C., they're not, when the left is talking about what's going on and what Trump was doing, they weren't focusing on the people that live in D.C. and have lived with that high crime for a long, long time. They wanted everybody else to believe it's something that it's not. Same thing with Charlie Kirk. They weren't talking to anybody. They weren't targeting anybody who was familiar with Charlie Kirk. They wanted people to be, as the left most often does on everything, ignorant to the facts. They didn't want people to actually look into what was going on with Charlie Kirk. Well, now there's a much greater awareness about the work and the mission statement that Charlie Kirk was doing. And the left is livid. The far left is livid. That's why you see these responses. They really did believe they were winning everything. If you look at, especially from the Obama years forward, you can see where they thought they had won, you know, controlling the language, social media, which is where everybody communicates these days and offers an opinion. They were literally controlling that. Deep State was. We know that now. They were controlling everything during COVID, your behavior, the mask wearing, all of it. They were controlling. They believed they had won. That's why that's really what they were trying to do during the whole COVID thing, was go in for the permanent win. You remember, I think it was Biden that said it. This is going to be a dark winter. It's going to be a dark winter. Okay, Dark Brandon, we get it. We know that your side is peddling doom and gloom, which, by the way, was also highly irresponsible in nature, because you had kids that were watching at every moment, and this is part of the indoctrination. You have to instill the fear in the kids. You have to make them afraid. That's how you gain power. Instead of reassuring these children, listen, we're doing everything. We're going to change a couple of things here and there temporarily, but we're going to get through this. That's not the left at all.
Well, when you look at the memory of Charlie Kirk, they feel there's a need to destroy it and distort it.
Yeah.
Because the biggest enemy right now of the left, the biggest message enemy to the left is how Charlie Kirk was successful in getting people to talk with him. And when the conversation is going back and forth, people perceive that. And we had a lot of discussion on this earlier this week about what's normal in our culture.
Yeah.
And the reason that the Democrats are having such a huge problem is that you cannot have any type of conservative ideology be viewed as normal.
Right.
It has to be Nazism. It has to be fascism.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, it is the left. That's why they redefined words. That's why Antifa, the label exists. Antifa is not anti-fascist.
Right.
Antifa wants to get things in a democratic republic done through violence.
Right.
They're the fascist. It's the same thing we've said about the redefining of words. Anti-racism is racism. Charlie Kirk was a racist because he said color shouldn't matter.
Right.
Everything is posterior backwards to the left.
Right.
But the fact is, Charlie Kirk was promoting conservative values. He was promoting, if you look at the number of issues, fiscal responsibility, security, safety for people on the streets, good jobs, free market economies,
Personal responsibility, marriage, family, the beauty of children. He was promoting everything that was good, and the left was willing to have, on college campuses, the students on the left were willing to have a discussion with him. And in that discussion, when they would bring up hate and racism, he made it absolutely clear where he stood. We've played all the video. Not all, but we've played a number of audio, actually from the videos, where he's talking about, no, I don't care about it. I don't care. Well, you can't say that. You cannot be convincing some in a public forum on the left and successfully convince them that you're not a racist by explaining that you aren't a racist based on the fact of how you really think. Yeah.
Because, and we've talked about this before, when you look at it, Charlie Kirk promoted individuality and the autonomy of the individual soul.
Mm-hmm.
That you're an individual and you get to think the way that you want to think. You don't need to think the way that I think.
Right.
Convince me that I'm wrong.
Right.
That was the whole point.
Like it said on his banner,
Right.
Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong, yeah. Let's go for it. I'm willing to sit here on a college campus, which is what college campuses exist for.
Yes.
I mean, the arena of ideas. It's the perfect place for young people. The arena of ideas to discuss it. You saw it was an event. There was a passion for the young people to come out. It was celebratory. He was promoting happiness. He was saying the left can't have that.
Well, the radicals cannot have the possibility of college students actually getting an education on a campus.
Yeah.
That possibility must end. They cannot have that. Indoctrination is even if you're just going along to get along, well, that pads our numbers. You're marching in the same, even if you're just doing it to pass in that class, you're going along to get along. Well, it looks like we're all in lockstep. At least you're behaving correctly. And the moment you question on the left with these radicals, anything, it doesn't matter.
You can't question.
You can't question the entire idea.
And he was
behind
saying,
Turning Point is, you can question everything. You can question me.
Yeah. And on the college campuses, you can question your professors.
Yep.
They're not right. They shouldn't be stifling free speech.
Right.
Silence should not be violence.
Right. See, that's the and I forget who it was that posted it. It was the crypto executive that posted, when words can be deemed violence, then the left sees this. The radical left sees the justification of using violence against words.
Against words, right? Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep. That is the equation right there, and it was a brilliant point, but that is the equation.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Will James Comey, former FBI Director, be indicted for lying to Congress? We'll get to that here in a little bit. I love this one here, this headline. Treasury's Besant warns New York City, no bailout under Mamdani. He warned Wednesday that if Mamdani carries out his socialist economic plans as mayor, New York City will come begging to Washington for a bailout. He won't give it to them. I guarantee you there are not a lot of things in life that are sure, but New York City will be coming to the federal government for a bailout if Mamdani's plans are implemented. Are you going to give them a bailout? He was asked. It will be the same thing that Gerald Ford said, drop dead.
Well, it's, all the more reason to focus on election season to make sure the Democrats don't get into power, because Democrats will certainly want to bail out New York City. It's the business capital of the world. We have to bail them out. The poor people of New York City, they voted for it.
Yeah, they voted for it.
Let them pay for it. Oh, taxing the rich isn't getting you there, huh? Taxing corporations isn't enough. Well, then you should tax everybody much higher in New York City. Yeah, let's see them vote for that.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
By the way, with Treasury Secretary Besant warning there's no bailout for if Mamdani becomes mayor of New York. He doesn't make that decision.
Right. Yeah.
Congress would make that decision.
Right. And a very liberal Congress, if they have the votes, might give it to New York City.
Looking at it here, I don't think it would be popular nationwide.
Well, you know what's interesting is as you were saying that, as you were at the end of the last hour talking, bringing that story, I thought to myself, because I'm thinking, well, if Democrats get power, and then I thought, well, wait a minute. It's changed. Not that they wouldn't want to do it, but politically, could you even get all the Democrats on board for bailing out New York City? Now, I know, again, the biggest handful of them would say, oh, it's the business capital of the world, and we got to save New York City. Well, not really. Leave that to Batman.
Well, if you're the business capital of the world, the capitalism capital of the world, then employ more capitalism.
Exactly.
What are you talking about? You need a bailout.
Oh, no. They contradict themselves all the time. Yeah. And it's, and my thought is, if Gotham is going to fall, then, and the Joker is the mayor, then that's the way it's going to go. Look, we know the Penguin is the governor of Illinois, and Trump is Batman. It's already clear, folks.
I think of Pritzker. I think of Weebles wobble, but they won't fall down.
Yeah, right.
All right, so here we go.
All
Fox News poll of the mayoral race in New York City.
Okay.
Mamdani 47.
Yeah.
Cuomo 29. Sliwa 11.
Okay.
Adams 7. So if you take Cuomo, Sliwa, and Adams all together, it's 47-47. They're combined. Now, what I noticed is we go back. When was the soft drink cup size
2012, 2014.
Okay,
somewhere in there.
Over 10 years ago. It was when that came up. And you and I always remember that 42% of New Yorkers agreed with it. Well, you think about it. If you take the plus or minus on that and the plus and minus on this poll, it's very close to the people that are supporting Mandami are the same ones who don't believe that they can control their own lives.
Yeah. It was 2012. Went into effect in 2013, but it was struck down by the state Supreme Court in 2014. So there you have it. Yeah, 42%.
Margin of error, 3.5 for the Fox News poll. So if the margin was 3.5 or 3 for the other poll that was done on the soft drinks back then, you're talking about, you hit it right there. It's within the margin of error.
Yep.
And you and I always were amazed by that. And then when we brought it up on the air, we sat here talking to New York City residents who were saying, no, I'll never forget the one guy. I can't stop smoking cigarettes. I need to ban cigarettes. I can't stop it. I can't stop doing the things that I want to do, and so the government needs to come in and do it. You're dealing with a significant number of adults in New York City.
Yep.
Well, you're insulting them. Yeah, I am.
Mm-hmm.
That have the mindset of a helpless child.
Yeah. I can't do it. I need the government to do it for me.
You and I
need the city. I need the state. I need the federal government to do these things for me because I don't have any will myself to do it.
Yeah.
Yet they somehow are motivated to go vote for someone who will control their will.
Yeah, they want somebody to take care of them.
Yeah. I don't know how they get up the will to go vote, but they do.
Well, that's when you came up with, that's where you came up with the Freedom Card way back then.
Yep.
Where you said we should have a Freedom Card in the United States.
That's right.
Everybody carries around a card.
Yep.
And
you're born with it.
Well, if you want to have the Freedom Card, you carry a card.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, I'm responsible for what I do, but I pay less taxes because I don't want to be taken care of. The people that want to be taken care of, they pay more taxes. The Freedom Card would have benefits, but also extra responsibilities.
Yes.
If you want the Freedom Card.
That's right.
But yeah, so Mandami, really, you look at it, has got his polling average 44.3%, well within the margin of error of going back over 10 years ago to the soft drink cup size ban poll that showed 42% of New Yorkers believed I need to do it. And you and I always go back to Mika on Morning Joe. Oh, yeah, because I just can't stop salt. I just have no control. I need salt. I'm an adult, but I need somebody to take care of me. Where's another adult? Can you imagine going through, forget about the politics of it for a second, for God's sakes. Can you imagine as an adult having the mindset that I don't have any control of my we've talked about what came out of Occupy Wall Street. I have no control over my life because billionaires control everything, which is pure horse manure.
Yeah.
We all know that. Mm-hmm. Billionaires got no bearing on whether you make it or not. None. Zero. But the fact is that you've been told if you're a part of a marginalized group, you can't make it. You can't make it.
Yeah.
You're a victim and you can't make it. Forget about the politics of it, because we know the politics of it. We know that they want power and control over it. I believe that many Democrats in power don't want to solve the crime problem because then you can perceive people as victims. If you solve these problems, there's no reason that, that you as a party can say we help the victims, because there's fewer victims and people feel less like victims when they have autonomy, individuality, and they believe that they have more control of their life. You're not as necessary to them as a politician. Right. But the whole point is, from Democrats, we'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. You're an adult, and we'll take care of you. And Mamdani, I mean, exactly almost mirrors the amount of votes or the polling for the soft drink ban. But can you imagine being so helpless in your life? I can't imagine. That's why I would love to do the Vulcan mind meld. I don't know if I could handle a day in the life of a brain of a liberal, but I would love to just have the Vulcan mind meld where I would still retain, my brain, but I could get a view into their brain. How do they process thoughts? How do they connect the dots? How can you as an adult sit there and say, I don't know, for some reason, I always, when I do that, I always like, it's Pat. Mm-hmm. I always say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just don't know. What am I going to do here? I just have no idea. I don't know. I can't handle soft drinks on my own. Somebody needs to control my input of soft drinks, and somebody needs to input and make sure I get the proper food because I just can't do it as an adult. I can't imagine having that mindset, Eric.
Well,
I can't imagine being in that mind. Go ahead.
It's a very lazy mindset. But you're living in fear of, I don't know, yourself, your own tendencies.
It's a great point. I'm in fear of myself all the time.
I think about it often. If I'm at the grocery store, I'm like, nothing is stopping me. This thing about being a free adult. Nothing is stopping me from grabbing. They sell candy bars in multi-packs. I mean, I could fill the cart. I could, I'm looking, and I do this all the time, and it comes down to this. I did this yesterday on one of the apps, delivery apps. And I was looking at some things. I was like, well, maybe I'll get some things delivered, things that we needed around the house, a couple things. I thought, there's a lot going on. I need to save some time here, and I'll just get some things delivered. And then I start going through do I want to get a snack? And then it's everything. You can get they'll bring it to your door. It'll be there in 20 minutes.
I saw Seinfeld doing that as an introduction to his show.
Yeah.
And he just says, he goes, the great thing about being an adult, if I want to have a cookie, I can have a cookie.
Yeah.
If I want to have 5 cookies, I can have 5 cookies.
Right.
If I want 15 cookies, I can have 15 cookies. You know why? Because we always know that another appetite is right around the corner. Your mother's saying it's going to ruin your appetite, but we as adults know another appetite is right around the corner there.
Give it some time.
But you're right. We do that. We do that all the time.
Well, I was looking at it. I was like, all right. And I could have even gotten like one, I don't know, little individual serving size snack or cookies or candy bar. And I was like, all right, do I really need that? And the answer is no, I don't. In fact, I don't know anybody that needs that. And I thought, you're not going to feel good after you eat this and everything. This self-governing thing. Sometimes it's annoying as hell.
Why do I have to be responsible for my life?
Well, what's interesting? I thought, why can't I eat an entire big bag of those powdered donuts and not feel bad? That's wrong.
You know why?
I should be able to do that.
You know why? Because you were willing to have the debate in your own head.
Yeah. Oh no, I knew how it was going to end.
You were willing to have the debate. Mm-hmm. The reason that we discipline ourselves is because we've been open to the debate.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and we have made the choice.
I know the facts.
Right, and we have made the choice that we wish to make based on what we believe will be in our best self-interest.
Well, I know, number one, I don't have the rest of the afternoon to sit on the toilet. Number 2, my doctor's going to see it in the blood work.
Yeah.
Can't hide it.
Yeah, that's one thing. When you go to as I had my doctor visit her this week, and when you're a type 2 diabetic, well, it depends. Now that everything was fine. When I first got it, I had to go every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was every 4 months, and then the standard is no matter what, every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realize is you can't, blood work doesn't lie.
And I get mine every 90 days.
Yeah, blood work
and so it
doesn't lie.
Yeah, no, that's my doctor. He has this smile. He'll just, and he'll go, It's like, you don't even try to BS your doctor, because the blood work tells the story.
Well, the funny thing is, I went in and I knew that my blood sugar would be up a little bit. Now I'm way beneath, a 7, way beneath. So I mean, it's, but I just wasn't able to eat. I was, at my dad's over the summer so much.
Right.
I traveled so much, and it's impossible. And I told him, I said, I eat at home almost all the time because I'm on 40 to 60 grams of carbs a day. That's what I came up with. Nobody told me to do it. I just said, how low can I go and still have it? Now, I cheat. I can cheat. The doctor even says cheat once in a while, have a cheat day. Have 3 slices of pizza, which then you're over 100 right there. But I knew if I wanted to get it under control, that's what I'd have to do. You can't do that in travel. It's just impossible.
Right.
It's almost impossible if you're traveling to be on a proper, type 2, diabetic diet.
Right.
It's just, if you're trying to keep your carbs down. Now, you can be way below 300, which is what a normal human can eat, and you may only be at 150.
Right.
But 150, if you can keep it down lower, your blood sugar is better. Well, still, it was so great. I was like, nah, and he said, well, another A+. I said, no. I probably could have done better if I really worked at it. He goes, you're fine, A+.
Yeah.
But, the blood work, it doesn't lie.
No,
it doesn't lie. And so
And
you finally come to the point, I'm not going to BS myself.
Well, that's the thing.
That's what it is.
Is that you're BSing yourself if you also believe the government's going to be able to control those urges if they truly are.
Right.
Like the guy that called us about smoking.
Yeah.
I suspect, because they say it's a very, very, very addictive. Nicotine is one of the most addictive things, and to try and break. I suspect you'll be looking to get cigarettes another way if you can't, or nicotine in another form, if you can't get it legally at the store. It's again, that's not a pro-tobacco stance. I'm a free adult stance, and I can make my choices for myself, and I also have to take responsibilities for those choices I've made.
Think about it. We got hate mail over saying government should not be rationing the amount of soft drinks that you can get in a cup.
Right.
We got hate mail because of it.
Right.
People saying, I hate you because I think the government should dictate what kind of servings I should get of a soft drink, and you don't. You Nazi fascist, you?
Remember then they were also trying to ban trans fats?
Yes.
By
the way,
for the young people out there, trans fats is not a LGBTQ billiards expert. It's
from Minnesota.
From Minnesota.
It's not.
It's they used to use it in cooking. I don't know. They still do, I guess. Yeah. But they were trying to ban salt, all of it, sugar, trans fats.
Remember McDonald's?
Right.
The lawsuits against McDonald's.
Yeah.
They're serving crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're an adult. You know what they're serving.
Exactly.
Remember those
Don't
all got
eat
blown
it
out of
all
court?
the time.
Yeah.
Right.
866-98 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the bottom of the hour, a really interesting article in the New York Post yesterday and in other publications, but we were just reading the New York Post about the intelligence on Russia. It's something that you and I have been talking about when it came to Trump the other day when 2 days ago when he was talking about on True Social that, hey, Ukraine can get all their territory back. This is hurting Russia economically. And we've always asked, that's the one thing that we have said, the CIA knows, or they can have a good calculated guesstimate about how the economy of Russia is being affected. And there was an article on that we will get to here in just a little bit. But we're being told that the Justice Department, from various news sources, seeking to indict former FBI Director James Comey for allegedly lying to Congress. Here's some audio from John Solomon as he, by the way, Solomon, remember the whole thing about foreign intelligence for the assassination of Kirk?
Right.
We never got an update on that one, did we?
I never heard any follow-up on that.
No.
Yeah.
No. I know they're looking into other organizations. Remember, that was, he never explained, I never saw him explain that anywhere.
Yeah.
What that meant.
I didn't see that.
Just to bring that up. So, but here we go.
We're also getting reports that some accountability may be taking shape for one of the most high-profile figures in the Russia collusion hoax, former FBI Director James Comey. Multiple sources confirming to Just the News that the Justice Department is in the final stages of deciding whether to seek a federal grand jury indictment in the Eastern District of Virginia, accusing Comey of giving false testimony back in September 2020 when he denied that he had authorized leaking any classified information. Now, this indictment is based on some documents that Just the News, if it happens, I mean, remember, the indictment hasn't been handed up yet, but if it were to happen, it's based on documents we made public back in August that show the federal prosecutors had evidence that Comey did indeed authorize the leaks of classified information, while one of those was confirmed by his former chief counsel. That's a pretty big deal. One of Comey's other advisors was recently subpoenaed by federal prosecutors in that criminal probe, so activity is ramping up. The deadline for the statute of limitations is next Tuesday.
Interesting.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. So we heard from John Solomon saying that it's that he believes that if they decide to go after Comey, it will be based on the emails and somebody that he worked with that said one of his assistants that he authorized. The emails exist, plus the witness testimony that he authorized leaking, and that is against the law at that point. Now, whether a jury will convict for that, I guess we will see. Whether they would do some kind of plea deal on that, we will see. I was reading the Fox News story on it, and they say their sources don't give them any information about what it is specifically they're going after, what it is about his testimony. They according to I'll read it what they actually say here. The extent of the potential charges was unclear, as was which part of his testimony would be subjected to perjury charges. So. DOJ officials are close to deciding whether to prosecute the former FBI director for allegedly lying to Congress in September of 2020. There is a grand jury underway looking at the matter in Virginia. A decision could come any day. We talked about this earlier, the allegation of which, again, there is no evidence, and it seems as if Democrats are dropping it. Tom Homan absolutely denying it. We played it earlier, and the White House saying he did not accept $50,000. Right. Just none of this happened, and Democrats aren't on that. And you and I just went, oh, geez, for $50,000? Number one, if I've got anything to do with the government, I'm not even going to have an appearance of impropriety, especially when I don't have to work for the government.
Right. I don't want somebody buying me lunch.
Right, and I know that if I'm going to be in the government, that everything that I do is going to be gone over with a fine-tooth comb, whatever that means. And if I'm testifying before Congress, I'll take the fifth before I lie.
Yeah.
I just won't answer it.
Right.
You put me in jail for contempt of court. If they say, well, you get immunity from prosecution. Well, if I got immunity from prosecution, yeah, then. If my lawyer said it's guaranteed immunity from prosecution, but
At that point, you don't have to lie.
Right, at that point you have to lie. But I would never, why put yourself in, why take a job and put yourself in that position? Were they at that point believing that they would never be challenged on it because Trump was destroyed?
Yes.
And I was thinking about that the other day, that if you're just the victory for Trump is just winning again for these people, because they did everything they could to destroy him, and it all failed because there is an argument to be made. And I would say that most people that have observed what has happened since 2016, that Trump is much stronger in this term than he would have been if he would have been in office starting in 2020 again for consecutive terms.
He's actually made that point.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the case. And look, they were in it. They were full on invested in this whole thing, in the Russian hoax. And then he won in 2016. Well, why do you continue it? Well, because at that point, he's becoming the president, and they're going to learn at some point, because we thought we were going to win this. There's going to be a trail of evidence that eventually is going to be found, and he's going to be president, and we can't let that happen. So what do you start? You start with discrediting him, and you take this and you make it even bigger. Well, how do you make it bigger? You assign a special prosecutor. They believe in the firing of Comey, Trump did them a favor. When Trump fired Comey, they're looking at that going, oh, man, here's our opportunity here. He looks like the bad guy for firing an FBI director. You never fire an FBI director. And we are going to take this and assign a special prosecutor to it. They fumbled the whole thing over and over again because it was always built on lies. But their objective, their goal, was to discredit him. Next thing you know, they've got a couple of impeachments. They're doing everything they can so in the event that he finally exposes the truth, he's discredited and nobody believes him. And you look at where we are now, and Comey was a big part of, and one of those who was arrogant and thought he was the hero, still thinks he's a hero. When you sit there and you lie before Congress under oath, that's an arrogance, that most of us can't even possibly imagine. But that person also believes they're going to get away with it. It's never coming back on him. They're not going to get him for lying under oath. No reasonable prosecutor would take that on. Well, it just might happen. We'll see what the grand jury does. As John Solomon points out, the statute of limitations is up next Tuesday. So if they're going to do that, they would have to, if there's going to be one, then they would have to come down likely by the end of this week, which means today or tomorrow. We'll see if it happens.
We knew we knew that he had sent documents to the Columbia Law School professor. Remember that one?
Yep.
Instructing him to share the information with the reporter. So he leaked that. So he leaked that.
Right.
So we knew that he leaked, but if you with the John Solomon stuff, why would you? And I guess if you're leaking to somebody, that's going to be a witness. If you leak directly to a reporter, probably that reporter's never going to testify against you. But you leak to an intermediary. But then if you leaked to somebody who you worked with or you authorized leaks at that point, why would you want that on paper?
Right. Well, look at the paper trail.
And then if they have him stating that, that he did not leak in those particular areas, yet you see he authorized the leaks.
Well,
it's the arrogance.
Look at exactly. Look at the paper trail,
right,
everywhere.
It's the stupidity of the arrogance that I will never be caught. I would always, if I went into government, one of the reasons I'd never go into government is because you end up, if you serve in the White House, odds are you end up with a lawsuit against you. And once you're out of power, that's your cash. You're paying those lawyer fees. And what was it? I remember, was it Michael Caputo? Who, when he had to testify, and he was never indicted in anything, and I just know this because he was a fill-in talk show host at the station I used to work at in Buffalo. But he said every single time he had to testify, it's $50,000 at least.
Yeah. Right.
Just for the lawyer advice you need to testify before Congress, $50,000 every time. Like, I'd never serve in a White House. I wouldn't be close to it.
Right.
I'm not going to put myself at that type of legal jeopardy unless I've got a guaranteed contract that somebody will pay all my legal fees after I'm done serving.
Well, look at how they went after Michael Flynn. Look, we'll break you. Yeah. We'll take everything you've built for your entire nest egg, and everything you worked hard for your entire life is gone.
But if I was ever in government, knowing that the opposition is looking for anything, I'm going to cover my butt I'm not going to do any wrong.
Right.
Because I know that even if I don't do anything wrong, they'll still come after me.
Yeah. Right.
They'll still try to come after me. But if I do something wrong, they're going to come after me. They may find that out, and I don't want that to happen.
Right. Because this is how relentless they are.
Is there a certain amount of arrogance?
There has to be, and which gives them confidence. When James Comey is talking, we pointed that out early on. He didn't talk like law enforcement. He had just a weird way of talking and had a weird arrogance about him from the beginning. And if you believe you're going to get away with it, that's a whole new level of that arrogance. And look at the paper trail they left. That's arrogance. We're not going to get caught. You saw where Peter Strzok, he lost his First Amendment case for being fired and the whole thing. Well, look at all of the text messages and everything that was left behind, the digital trail.
That was a very poor, but that was an Obama appointee.
Yeah.
Said, sorry, you don't have anything here.
Right. The judge that made
right. It was an Obama. Right. Who made the decision on it. And it was like, well, if you put stuff out there where it's blatant that you have a political axe to grind against somebody, and you're in the FBI and you're sending that to other people, and that gets found out, you're done.
What was the only in the paper trail, part of it? What was the only attempt to cover someone? Susan Rice, and the email that she wanted to have on record that she sent to herself to make sure it would go into the presidential archives to cover the backside of her soon-to-be. She was just hours away. We were just hours away from Trump being sworn in as president. She wrote herself this email to cover Obama. By the book. Well, it's assumed by the book. Of course, everything is by the book. He was the president in the moment. It's assumed. Why are you going out of your way to point that out just moments before that administration is no longer in power?
You know, this mirrors what we said about Strzok. At the time, we said, well, he's not going to win this. The court found that Strzok's interest in expressing his opinions about political candidates on his FBI phone at that time was outweighed by the FBI's interest in avoiding an appearance of bias in its ongoing investigations of those very people. Duh!
Yeah. Yeah.
And he thought he had a case.
Right.
So,
it'll be interesting to see what happens here if there's an indictment from Comey, on Comey. But I just honestly, I think we're still learning a lot about the whole Russian hoax thing. I think there's still a lot more to learn that we haven't just yet.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Really interesting article I'm reading here from a liberal on the state of California. We'll get to that here in a little bit. What was the other thing? The whole thing about Russia.
Yeah.
What intelligence is saying about Russia. It's a question that we've had all this time, especially with the dramatic turn that the president made going after Russia. And you and I said, okay, he believes that we can wait them out. Reminds me of the Cold War. Let's outspend the old Soviet Union.
Right.
And it almost seems here, as it seems a little bit similar. Great article in the New York Post that we'll get to coming up that talks about what the intelligence is telling the United States and NATO and Ukraine about the situation in Russia.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning. All right, so one of the questions that we were asking after the president came out on Truth Social, and really, if you've been following what's been going on in the narrative from the White House on Ukraine, it's changed a little bit since February.
Yeah.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit.
And the Trump and the Truth Social Post went after Russia, said they are hurting militarily and economically. And, Ukraine, we don't see why they can't get all their territory back, even the territory that they didn't have from before the war. And we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Now, I did see the New York Post story, which says sources say they haven't really changed their goal at all.
Yeah.
I guess we will see on that. But this is from the New York Post, according to the Institute of War, the ISW, Russia has gained very little land for the number of casualties its forces have taken in recent months. Moscow's forces have advanced a total of 737.6 square miles inside Ukraine between May and August of this year, while suffering 130,000 killed and wounded in that same time frame. An extremely heavy casualty rate by the ISW's definition. I think that he knows more details than before, and I'm happy with this, and I'm thankful for him, and also maybe for the people who briefed him. That was Zelensky said of Trump during a Tuesday news conference. Russia's economic decline, meanwhile, is due to both the declining oil revenues and using up of the so-called free resources like liquid assets from its national welfare fund. In August of this year, for example, Russia oil revenues declined to $13.5 billion from $14.4 billion the previous month. According to the International Energy Agency, over the first 8 months of this year, the value of Moscow's oil exports reached $110.6 billion, a decline of 16% from the same period in 2024. Meanwhile, Russia's finance ministry proposed raising the country's value-added tax 2 percentage points to 22% Wednesday, and revised its projected economic growth for this year to 1% compared to 4.3% for 2024. Ordinary Russians are also being forced to grapple with gas shortages as a result of long-range Ukrainian drone strikes on refineries, said Mark Montgomery, a retired Navy Rear Admiral and senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. As Putin's economy becomes pressurized, he has to pick between paying for the war machine or paying for, or maybe payments to, the people who have given him a solid majority in his country. The president is making it very clear that Russia is in a very weak position, Caroline Levitt said. He's absolutely right. They are a massive country with a massive military. They are a war economy, but it's been 3.5 years, and look how Ukraine has been able to defend itself, she added. So,
yeah, and it's, there's been the video was coming out yesterday, and these are recent strikes by Ukraine on the refineries in Russia. In fact, the reports say that they've attacked more. They think it could be as many as a dozen refineries and export terminals over the past couple of months. So if you look at that combination, the refineries themselves that make that fuel, basically, and then the export terminals, which would be the cash flow that would disrupt the cash flow for anything that Russia's getting right now for that finished product as they export that. It doesn't look good. Now, the problem for Russia has always been the clock is ticking. Even though it was widely believed by most that when it began, that he would conquer whatever he's trying to conquer from Ukraine and get that done in 6 months, that it wouldn't take long. And it did. And we're still here. And Zelensky is still here. In fact, is more active than ever before. I think yesterday the release of those videos and the attacks by drones on those Russian refineries is part of that propaganda in sending that message, not just to Putin himself, but also to anybody inside Russia, anybody who's, I don't know, going to thinking about helping Russia or has been helping Russia. You have to understand this is a losing game. And I think it was clear, because you and I both, when the president said that, were like, whoa, hold on a second. Why the big change? And we speculated that there must be new intel that shows something. First of all, now, and I think the president believed it, and most of us believed, that Putin was never serious about ending this war and the talks and everything else. That was never going to work with Putin. And so it's going to be, like we've said from the beginning, eventually you're just going to run out of resources and something is going to happen. It's just going to fail. If you don't, the fact that he didn't conquer Ukraine in 6 months is a big tell on that. And here we are now at what most people believe is the end of Russia's game. Their economy is failing. The intel shows right now, the military, they just don't have what it takes now to accomplish anything the way that we all know Putin would like to accomplish in conquering Ukraine. It's not going to happen for him in that way. And with the president, that was, again, it was strategic. We believe that was workshopped the way he put that on True Social the other day. That you're looking at, again, we'll supply NATO, and if NATO chooses and they can help Ukraine, and hey, I believe they can get it done and be better than ever. And even Zelensky was surprised by that. I was expecting Zelensky to come out and go, ooh, not even we believe that. But that confidence by Trump was telling, because it was the message to Putin. The whole thing wasn't about Ukraine. It was about Russia and the message he was sending to Russia. Okay, good luck. And we also believe you're going to lose this long term, at whatever point that's going to be. And I think we're quickly approaching that point. And now with the New York Post coming out and that story that they had yesterday with the intel showing that basically on the battlefield and with their economy, Russia is, if they're not on their knees, they're pretty close.
And the other thing that we've always talked about is when you're at a war like this, remember, they have a population of roughly 145 million people in Russia.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We in the United States were what? We're we're 340 million.
Yeah, roughly.
340, probably a little more than 340 million people. And, you look at when we didn't have this population, we were probably back in the Vietnam War, I'm going to guess maybe 260, 270 million people at that point. And we lost 52,000. I think I'm doing this from memory. Roughly 52,000 soldiers were killed in Vietnam. And everybody probably knew somebody who was killed.
Mm-hmm. You
knew somebody of a friend or whatever who was killed in Vietnam. You look at the losses that we had in World War II, I think it was between over 350,000, but less than 400,000 killed in all of World War II at that particular time. Now we had less of a population, but if you look at their country of 145,000, they believe the casualties are 1 million killed and injured combined. And the belief, if you take and you look at, for example, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the UK Ministry of Defense, BBC News Russia, the Ukrainian estimates, if you take the average, it's roughly, they believe, 250,000 Russians have been killed. And probably anywhere close to 1 million may have been wounded. That means everyone in Russia knows somebody who has been killed or injured in that war. That starts eating on public opinion. And
the public morale on this is likely
and,
very, very, very low.
And when you start talking about raising taxes to fund a war, and then after 3.5 years with these kind of losses saying, what is it about? What are we getting for these losses?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then you look, too, in the Kremlin. They talk about, well, those those that have supported the war that he has to pay back. Well, can he stay in power? The people that have supported Putin, do they want him in power? Is there a possibility of a coup? They didn't talk about that in that article, but is there a possibility of that happening in Russia over this? Because the president, what we saw yesterday would be what they say in the press, the information that he has received, he smells blood in the water.
Mm-hmm.
The president, with that statement that he made.
Yeah.
Because that was more, you think about it, that was and I'm not saying this in a negative way, it was as cocky as a statement as anything that Putin has said.
Yeah.
He said, well, Ukraine, I can't see why they can't get everything back. And even more.
Right.
And that is someone who believes they have that information that shows Russia isn't in it. They cannot be in it for the long term. And
yeah, they don't. If you think about it, where would they get it?
You wonder if part of the negotiation. Again, this is speculation about. And I guess it's the possibilities, because there's a number of possibilities that could happen. But I can see that's part of the negotiation going on, if in the communication between the White House, which I'm sure there probably is in back channels, the White House and Putin, which is, you want to survive this thing?
Yeah.
You want to live through this.
Right.
Forget about your country. You want to live? And are you willing to give up your life for this? Because you can't continue this. You can't stay in power. We know it. You know it.
Right.
And that has not been part. The entire negotiation has been, what will Ukraine give up in order to satisfy Russia?
Well, land swap was talked about
a couple weeks ago.
Just a few weeks ago. That was the conversation. And we were like, well, wait a minute. What? What does that even look like? Well, we have said from the beginning, likely the way this ends is going to be, something like what we're seeing right now. The economy, public morale, your military, everything, your strategy, all of it is failing. You're Vladimir Putin, and at some point, it's either going to be an internal uprising or implosion. And it appears that's what's going on right now. And how would he even regain his footing? Where would he even regain leverage right now with the NATO backing of Ukraine and the U.S. again? The president the other day, all right, we'll supply NATO, and NATO can decide, how far they want to go with that. We also have the mineral deal, so now you have U.S. interest there, which is that line in the sand, at a certain level. So you're just waiting for the inevitable, and the more distance there is, the more time I have to think about that comment by the president the other day. It's very clear. He knows. They know. Russia is all but done. They just don't, there's no way back except to pull your troops out, and for, as you mentioned, as you point out, quite likely for Vladimir Putin to consider his own mortality here and how that's going to play into any decision going forward. And we'll see, again, how long that takes for this to come to an end.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. When driving, you need to manage the space around your vehicle so that there's enough space to allow you to adjust when traffic conditions change. The space ahead of your vehicle is the most important and one of the easiest to monitor and adjust as needed. One rule of thumb is to allow at least 1 second for each 10 feet of vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles per hour. At greater speeds, add an additional second. It's impossible to keep other drivers from tailgating you, but there are some things you can do to make it safer, such as increasing your following distance, avoiding quick lane changes, and slowing down. There are also several things you should do to ensure that there is plenty of space between the side of your vehicle and other vehicles. Don't hug the center line, avoid hugging the right side of the road, and avoid traveling alongside other vehicles in strong winds, especially crosswinds. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, after Trump's statement the other day about Russia and Ukraine, I also wonder, you know, when he talked about, you know, the fact that we're going to be sending the weaponry to NATO, and then they can do what they wish to it, and we don't see why Ukraine can't get all of their, all of their land back and even more.
Yeah,
and it was really amazing. And you and I were talking about, wow, intelligence must be telling them a ton of stuff, or he's completely bluffing. And on the New York Post story saying this is the intelligence telling him that, which again, we had guessed that was a possibility before. This war has gone on for a long, long time. We know the population of Russia. We know the estimated losses, and those are estimated losses because they actually won't give them out.
Right.
It's not like in the United States where every death is counted in a war and then publicized.
Right.
That's not happening on either of the sides over there. But the estimates, and that's why I brought you who gave those estimates, 1 million casualties. And probably, if you look at the median, probably 250,000 Russian soldiers killed, which means everybody knows somebody who's been killed or injured. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Now they want to raise the taxes over there. So you look at that. I think that Trump, I wouldn't be surprised if when meeting with European nations, as he has, that he said, look, the longer this goes on, the weaker that it gets. Now, this may cost us some money to support Ukraine to do this, and you guys some money, but the investment is worth it because at the end of this, you will have a much more weakened Russia.
Well, and you look at the story from the Wall Street Journal yesterday about the Western countries looking to clone the Shahed drone from Iran that Russia is using on Ukraine, and it's cheap and everything else, and they're looking at now ramping up greatly the manufacturing of cheap, effective drones. Well, that's got to send a signal to Russia as well if Russia is using those against Ukraine. So it doesn't look good for Russia long term.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, the one good thing is there is, with all the serious things going on and all the horrendous things the last couple of weeks, thank God for Kamala's book tour and comic relief. Let's hear from former Biden aide Michael LaRosa, who was on Fox News.
All right.
And this is her talking about all the racism and sexism, and that's why, she, wait a minute, racism, sexism, homophobia, all of the isms and the obias. And he's responding to her using that. Here we go.
No, I mean, look, it makes me question whether she has her hand on the pulse of voters, if she thinks voters really still care about stuff like that. When Democrats go around screaming sexism, I think they forget that a woman Democrat won statewide in Michigan with Trump. A Democrat won statewide, a woman in Wisconsin and Nevada. They just didn't like who was at the top of the ticket. It's not sexism, and it's not about racism either.
Wow. And that's about as loyal Democrat as you can get. What I love is when we say things and the Democrats come out a couple of days later and say the exact same thing. Now, we've been saying this for the longest time.
Yeah.
Because when back in 2019, we said it when she dropped out of the primary and said it's because of they didn't want her because of sexism and racism. And you went, well, that's what you're calling you are saying that the Democratic Party is a bunch of sexists and racists.
Right.
Because Republicans aren't voting in those. Meanwhile, Mark Halperin and his podcast with Sean Spicer and Dan Turntine and more talking about the Kamala book.
Politico story on Harris and one in the Free Press says what we've been saying here, what we said on Two-Way Tonight, which is the book tour is alienating Democrats. There's a lot of on-the-record and blind quotes in the Politico story saying this is all self-serving. She's trashing people. She's gossipy. People don't want to be reminded of her. Sean first, then Dan. If you were an advisor to Kamala Harris and she called you and she said, "I've read all these stories and I don't like the coverage here. I want to turn the page. The book tour continues." What would be like her talking points or her strategy to get the coverage on something being less negatively received by the commentariat?
I think two things. One, she could lay out some sort of wild vision or policy pronouncement on the left going forward, saying we Democrats need to support free housing or something. I mean, really change the topic, or find some really new sharp attack on Donald Trump. I wouldn't recommend that, but I think that's the reflexive default of most Democrats. Yeah. But if she really wanted to do this, she'd find something, affordable housing, something that would change the thing that people would say, I saw you announce this.
Okay.
I got to ask you about it.
Dan, what do you think of that idea?
Yeah, I mean, her problem is the base was so frustrated with her with the election. The base was then frustrated that she stayed silent for this entire first half of this year. So you've got to do something to throw the base some red meat to get them off of the circular firing squad and onto a new target. No pun intended, in these times right now. But she's got no friends right now. No. Nobody is pleased with what she's doing, not even her and her own staff.
She's got the number one selling book on Amazon.
So, all right, I thought it'd be number 15. So there you go.
Yeah,
I think that's actually the one surprising thing of the entire deal is how well it's doing. Although Amazon, is an algorithm, so you can. But
yeah,
I will say,
I'm reading it.
She could do housing too. I also think, and again, I'm just trying to put my lefty hat on. I think she could do something on legalizing drugs.
Yeah,
kids motivated.
Is there any?
No. There's nothing they're all wrong. There's nothing she can do.
No.
They have no use for her.
Look, I honestly, if sales are happening and these aren't, as they mentioned, they kind of briefly touched on it. Amazon's an algorithm. There are ways to trigger that algorithm to make the chart work for you. But if people actually are buying the book, I mean, a few people are, it is the train wreck effect.
Yeah.
And it could be, because if I'm the publisher, at first I'm going, no. Hey, she's shopping a book. No. Tell her we're closed. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, hold on. How big might the train wreck effect be? Because it's alive on both sides. If both sides are coming together on anything right now, it's the opinion on Kamala Harris. The Democrats are looking at it going, oh, huge failure on many levels. And, of course, we know what the right thinks. We know what we all think about it. So the train wreck effect could be enough to drive, a few sales.
Well, that's why I've said comic relief. I mean, the stuff we hear when these quotes and these passages come out from it.
Yeah,
we're telling you about it because we're dying laughing because she's just throwing everybody under the bus. It's sexism. It's racism. Biden sucks. Pelosi sucks.
Tim Walz sucks.
Tim Walz sucks. The New York Times.
Everybody sucks.
Nobody endorsed her. It's everybody's fault except for you suck on the issues.
If had you asked me, back earlier this year or maybe in December of last year, who'd be writing the throw everybody under the proverbial bus book, I would have said Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. It was Kamala. And that's also, by the way, that's another thing, because it carries the drama that a tell-all book would carry. Because when you hear, oh, in a new tell-all book, it's like, well, who's telling it, right? But when it's Kamala, ghostwriter, actually writing it, autopen, it's very interesting because people love the drama. If nothing else, if not the train wreck effect, certainly the drama part of it going, oh, wait a minute. Man, she's throwing everybody out.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I believe the book serves a very useful purpose. I think that book shows you the mind of a Democrat in 2025, and it shows you everything that is wrong with the Democratic Party. I think it's a great lesson. It shows that she's just blaming everybody, takes no personal responsibility for what she has said, offers no future as to where the Democratic Party is going to go. It's almost as if she just wrote the book to just throw everybody under the bus, blame everybody but herself, take no responsibility for the fact that she's a horrible candidate.
Right.
There's no self-reflection on it. It's typically what you get from a Democrat, and it's wonderful to watch. Really, when we cover it, it's because it's so entertaining, but the Democrats are all getting ticked off about it.
Yeah.
What in the world's going on? I mean, nobody likes it. Not even her staff likes it. Everybody's wondering what's going on. And to see that Obama advisor say, no, it's not racism. It's not sexism.
Mm-hmm.
To see the Democrat response to it,
yeah,
which is exactly what the right has been saying about her for such a long time, is a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
It is. It really is.
No, it is.
Because it's what we've said.
Right.
So for a brief moment, you have Democrats getting out of their temporary or their permanent delusion and temporarily looking at something in a sane way that one of their own is writing and saying, well, no, this is all false. It's not sexism. It's not racism. There's an Obama advisor.
It's like this weird purging of the truth, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like
of the points we've been making.
It's getting to be so bizarre in the Democratic Party that somehow in this bizarre universe, they're telling the truth.
Well, it's interesting because
about her.
People were making the comments yesterday and day before on the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing about how the left is coming out throwing him under the bus, going,
yeah,
why would Trump want to go after him? Nobody was watching his show. He didn't have good ratings. They didn't have.
This is the left
and he had record ratings the night he came back. But they were saying, look, normally he didn't have good ratings. Why does Trump get all worked up about Jimmy Kimmel? And then it's like, do they realize they're saying this out loud?
He doesn't represent any of us.
Exactly. He's not a big deal.
Well, I love the anger that he even started crying about it.
Was upset. How dare you?
That was upset that there was a loss of life and
right.
In any way here, and his they don't want to hear that.
No.
They're not in a self-reflective mood.
No.
Neither is he. He pretended to be.
Right. Then he admitted he's got family and friends on the right. Ooh. The left is learning about Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, seriously, they don't realize that we can all see it. We all get it. I mean, we made the observations about Kamala Harris. Now, with this, she's going to do what she does. It must be everybody else's fault, like she did in December of 2019. Everybody else is at fault, including her Veep pick. And then, the left reacting to that, well, she was never any good anyway.
Well, it's bizarre for us to sit here and everything that we had said, over the last year about why she failed, and even said last year why she was failing while she was failing.
Right.
And then post-election, and then, Democrats just being quiet or just blaming whatever.
Right.
And all of a sudden, here we are. What gets them to agree with us is for her to write a book.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the Democrats sound like Eric and Gary.
Right.
No, the problem with Kamala, it's not sexism, it's not racism. It's that she stinks.
Right. She was a horrible
She's
candidate.
horrible.
From the beginning.
It's like, well, yeah, that's what we were saying before. And
right.
You guys were fighting us.
Right.
Well, she's of no use to them.
Yeah.
Nobody wants her to run again.
Nobody wants
her to run again.
Wants her. Don't pay attention to any polls showing her at the top of the list. Don't pay attention to any of that because, honestly, that's not going to come together because you're seeing the reality right now based on her book. Any of those polls are just people just out. It's whatever was in, top of mind. It's voters going, oh, yeah, I'd vote for Kamala again. Yeah, would you really?
Well, I mean, that's what you got out of the Obama advisor.
Mm-hmm.
He's ticked off because she's saying it's racism and sexism, and he understands that she's done it before. She's blamed. She's called Democrats. She's saying Democrats are racist and sexist. Well, he doesn't want to hear that.
Nope.
What are you talking about? The other side is, and because of what she said after the primary, he's taking it the same way. Then nobody's going to vote for her because they're all racist and sexist. Mm-hmm. You said that about Democrats in 2019.
Yep.
And so you're saying it again now. You're blaming everybody except yourself. You stink. But then that goes right back at them. Well, then why didn't you complain about her being appointed?
Right.
Why didn't you want to go through the Democrat process?
Right.
So it all comes back. They have no answers. They just continue to increase the diameter of the circular firing squad.
Which is becoming more like a toilet bowl as the water goes and the waste goes around and around and around.
Circular flush bowl.
I
like that.
The
That's
Democratic toilet bowl.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the top of the hour, the UN, useless. Is this the time? Is there going to be a push for the United States to get out of the UN? We've had it before. But when you see some of the polls out there, you think about it. Does the UN do anything? Trump said they don't do anything.
They don't do anything.
But they don't.
They don't.
What do they, when it comes to any type of, negotiations with wars or whatever, this isn't even the UN from 40 years ago or 30 years ago.
Right.
They would at least attempt. Now they don't even attempt.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, where's the terrorist groups that we're going to side with today?
Right.
We'll get to that and more coming up.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.